Hey everyone, so in case you haven't caught on yet, I'm sort of doing like a 12 days of Sam sort of thing. So obviously I was a bit late to the boat for Vlogmas, so I thought I'd sort of make it my own because I'm really cool like that. So on Instagram today, follow me at Samuel Ashton, but without the O in Ashton. I asked some of my friends for questions. I kept it pretty close in. So I'm just going to read them out and we're just going to go through them. We've got 22 questions to go through, so let's get started. Sarah asks, future plans for after college? Ah, that is a good question, Sarah. So, I actually have no idea at all because originally I didn't want to go to uni, then I was like debating it, and now I'm not really sure again. So I didn't meet the internal deadline to fill out my UCAS form, but I think strictly speaking I can still fill out my UCAS form and apply. I just don't really know where I'm going to go yet. I might do a year of work and sort of figure out where I'm going to take things, but I don't have a plan yet, which is a bit scary, but yeah. Thank you for asking a question. Next question, M asks, fave takeaway. What is my favourite takeaway? Now, I'm quite blessed locally. Within like a 5-minute radius, I have a Chinese, an Indian, and 2 like chippies. I think there's another Chinese as well. My favourite takeaway place, like, I'm gonna stay local, like it's just one down the road. I won't say its name because I don't want any hashtag stalkers, but it's just like a standard chippy. They just like, it's just nice quality and the staff are quite friendly because I'm in there a fair amount. Thank you for asking. I'm sorry if that wasn't quite the question you meant, but we move. Next, Liam asks, favourite music album? So, this ties in with another question I got asked, which is my favourite Taylor Swift album, because my favourite album of all time is also my favourite Taylor Swift album, which is... it's actually Speak Now by Taylor Swift. So this was released in 2010 when I was like 7, which is cool. So this is the standard version. There's a deluxe version where she's wearing a English braces. There's a deluxe version where she's wearing a red dress, but that was more of like an American thing, but I'm going to try and get it like imported or something, or find one on eBay, because this just has all the standard tracks, but there's bonus tracks on the other CD and I really like them. But this, honestly, there's no skips on here for me. Like, each song is just immaculate. It's so good, and this whole album was self-written. She had no co-writers on this album, it was all her own work, which is very impressive, bearing in mind she was like 20 when she wrote it. So thank you Liam and Ellie for asking those questions. They sort of tied in together, so I thought I'd kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So Ellie also asks, what makes you wake up in the morning? Most of the time, my mother. I actually have my Alexa set to play Folklore by Taylor Swift, so sometimes it's just like, sometimes I just naturally wake up, or sometimes it'll be to like pretty soft music, but most of the time it's my mum telling me to get up, so that's quite quirky. Ellie also asks, where do you want to go on holiday? A few years ago I went to this place called Filey. I don't really go abroad a lot, so I stay pretty UK based. However, I feel like I do want to go to France. That's like on my list because it just seems kind of cool. Well, we're going to say France for that question. Cameron asks, what have you learned from being away from YouTube for a long time? Have you enjoyed it? So, I never planned to like stop doing YouTube ever. Like, since I started, I knew that I enjoyed it and it just felt nice. But like, as I got older, it just got more difficult to do. And then obviously Cameron was a massive part of why I did YouTube, because me and Cameron were both doing it sort of together, and I felt like I had someone to share the experience with, as well as Emma. So I think I've just learned to like do things at my own pace and take a break if I needed to. Like, I could have forced myself to make some YouTube videos this year, but I didn't. So I think that's important. I guess I've just learned self-value, you know, not being too hard on yourself, that sort of thing, but I have missed it. Next, Lucy asks, fave drink? Now, if we're not talking alcoholic, I do like a bit of Lucozade, a bit chavvy, I know, but I like a bit of Lucozade. Tea, for the most part, a cup of tea will do me great every day. Lucy's asked quite a few questions, which is very good. So the next questions I ask are all from Lucy unless I specify otherwise. Favourite songs from all Taylor Swift albums or your top 5. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to pick a song from each album that I like, so bear with me. Also, with Evermore only being out for like 2 or 3 days, my opinion might change, but I have one in mind. So from her debut album, which I don't have physically, I need to get that. From her debut album, my favourite song is probably Picture to Burn. I don't know why, it's always sort of stuck with me, but that's the album I'm probably least familiar with. I don't know why, I don't listen to it a lot. From Fearless, my favourite song is probably, I think as of recently it's been, I don't think it's even on this standard version, I think it's on the other version. It's called Come In With The Rain. And it's very emotional. It's like hoping that person that you want to turn up will show up, and like, so it's like a very in your feel sort of song. I like it a lot. So next, Speak Now, my top track from this album is definitely Enchanted. I don't know why. More context for this, why this album is my favourite. When I was like 6, 7 or 8, I got this little MP3 player and my friend's dad put this album onto it. So I like grew up like drilling this album into my head. And my top track is definitely Enchanted. It's like 6 minutes long and it's just top quality. Go and listen to it. I'll put all these songs in the description so you can go and listen to them if you want to. This isn't, I don't know if this counts, but from her Speak Now like live DVD, I really enjoy, I really like Drops of Jupiter. Like, it is a cover, but I think it's their song maybe, but she did the cover. I really like that. So from this CD, that's probably one of my favourites. From Red, this is really tough because I really like We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together. I feel like everyone does, but I think my favourite is gonna have to be probably All Too Well. Like, that's a bit of a classic Swiftie song. I definitely I love the majority of the songs on that album, if not all of them. My favourite song from 1989 is probably I Know Places. Like, I enjoy all the songs, but I like to pick a favourite that wasn't a single sort of thing, because I feel like if your favourite's one of the singles, a lot of people are like, oh, well, do you know what I mean? It just seems a bit meh. So I try and find one that isn't a single. So I Know Places is particularly amazing. And that's actually a song I've only heard within the past 2 years, to be honest. It hasn't one I've really grown up with. My favourite from Reputation is probably This Is Why We Can't Have Nice Things. When this album came out, I was dealing with a lot of beef in high school. So that song was like, This Is Why We Can't Have Nice Things. It's proper like, oh, so like you want to be friends, but you've done all this sort of song. And I really resonated with it, and it was just impeccable. My favourite song from Lover would be Miss Americana and the Heartbreak Prince. Just, I don't know why. I think it's a political song, but it's using the metaphor of high school, and because of all the high school references, I really enjoy it because I didn't enjoy high school, so that song sort of being like the odd one out, I like it. My favourite song from Folklore is probably, I love all of Folklore, but My Tears Ricochet I really like. I'm always a fan of her sad songs because I'm quite a sad person. And my Evermore album hasn't physically arrived yet, but my favourite track so far from that is Dorothea. I just really like it. It's between Dorothea and Nobody, No Crime, featuring Haim or Haim. I don't know how to pronounce them. Sorry. Well, that was quite fun. I enjoyed that question. Next, Lucy also asked, celebrity you don't like. Now, there's this YouTuber, I think he's friends with James Charles. He's called like Larray or something like that. He just really grinds my gears. Like, he's not done anything, but I don't like his attitude. Like, rubs me the wrong way. Like, I feel like you can't like everyone, and I appreciate he's probably hardworking and like he's, you know, worked to get where he is in his career on YouTube, but like he's just one of those who grinds my gears. Similar sort of thing with like Jake Paul. I know they're not proper celebrities, but you know, they're well known. Yeah. Oh. Next is biggest scandal you've ever had. So, are you ready for this absolute gossip? Right, so in year 11, this rumour went, I can't talk. This rumour went round that I had a particular interest in this lad. I don't swing that way. A lot of people made assumptions, which is fine, you know, you do you. But the problem was no one came up and asked me, is this true? Like, is this true? Like, is this true? Everyone would just assume behind my back. And it only came up recently that like this was a thing sort of low-key spread, which wasn't cool. I think the scandal behind that is I sort of was under the impression of a completely different story, and it sort of all blew up on the day of my GCSE drama exam when my friend came up to me and she was like, yeah, I've just been told like all this information, so like watch out. And who I portrayed to be a very good friend at the time, all of a sudden it went from 100 to 0 in that moment, where I was like, I think it was very tough because I was in a very fragile state and nothing was going particularly well. Like I just had a rough few months and then that just sort of crushed me, which isn't cool, but we sort of moved on. Like I'm just trying to move on, shake it off. That's that, I guess. I'll do like a proper story time on a lot of the year 11 stuff when I get around to it. Favourite food is probably, I do like a sausage and mash. Quite a good combination. You look like you can't swim. Well, Lucy, we both know that that is the truth. I can hardly swim. I had like swimming lessons in primary school, but in one of the lessons I was doing the backstroke and my head hit the divider and I like went up and had to like hug the divider so I didn't drown. It was very traumatic and I've not really touched swimming much since. My favourite memory, probably any memory I had with my grandma before she passed away. Honestly, like she was a very positive and warm person and I would give a lot, anything to spend more time with her. But obviously things went the way they did and I can't change that. But honestly, some of the just like, even just like her babysitting us or anything like that, like just having that close bond with her, like I always felt extremely close to her. Right, so I don't know why, but it just cut off there, so we're just going to move on to the next question, which is how tall am I? I have this little one. I don't know if it'll stretch far enough because I'm quite tall, but let's give it a go. Just see how far it goes. Oh, it might be enough. Yeah, I'm around the 6 foot mark. I think some people think I'm taller, but no, I'm about on the vet. Like I used to be like at 181 centimeters, which is slightly below 6 foot, but that was like almost 2 years ago. So we're just over 6 foot, is what we're gonna say. Lewis also asks Nike or Adidas. Probably Nike. Yeah, Nike. Dean asks, what's your biggest aspiration at the minute? Probably doing this and like keeping this going, I think is one of my biggest things. At the moment, because I have felt a bit lost recently and a bit lonely, so I think having this where I can put my energy into it is like my main priority at the moment and my main aspiration to bring this up to the next level, I think. And Hannah asks, what is your biggest fear? Probably at the moment being lonely. A lot recently I've really felt out of it. I felt very alone. And I do have friends and I do have great people around me, but however, despite all that, I still get lonely sometimes. It's weird. Sometimes I just have little dips and I think my fear is probably just winding up alone. So that's all the questions I've had so far since putting that post out. I'm just going to refresh it in case another 1 or 2 may have come through. Oh, Sophie asks, what do you want to do when you're older? Secret. I definitely want to be in the limelight, as they would say. I definitely want to be somebody. I don't know why, like that's just always been where I've wanted my career path to go. Like A-list, like up there. Like I know that doesn't just happen and I'm gonna have to work even to get the slightest chance of that happening, but that's definitely where I want to be. Whether that be through music or through acting or something creative or something completely different, that's where I want to end up ultimately. Fingers crossed. Lol, so that was good I refreshed it, otherwise I wouldn't have had that question. So smart. So yeah, that was my Q&A. Hope you've enjoyed it. I'm gonna edit it in a minute. It's just gone 5, so my video is coming out in an hour, so that's exciting. You've probably watched that already, maybe. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.